Here's something that I have no doubt you've heard about, because I swear I probably brought it up to you, but I feel like at this point we should have like a discussion about it, just because I am curious about your thoughts, because from what I understand, you're not a big fan of Ghostbusters, right? The original?
I appreciate the first Ghostbusters as a film. I don't think it's a great movie. Like, I don't think it's... Like, if I had to give it a more objective quality rating as opposed to a subjective enjoyment rating, my subjective enjoyment of it is medium-high. It's like a 6, maybe a 7 on a good day. Actually, no, when I'm feeling nostalgic for it, it's a good 7.5. Like, if I'm being real, it can hit a good 7.5. You pair it with Ghostbusters 2 for the laughs afterwards, and it's an 8. But as a quality film, it's not that great. It plays on a whole bunch of tropes, a lot of tropes that it gets credit for popularizing or making when it didn't. It plays on a lot of actors that are genuinely good when done right, but that I don't feel always made the best connections.
See, that's where I majorly disagree, because
I feel
it's
where most people seem to disagree. I don't really feel that much of a real camaraderie between a couple of the key cast members. Mm-hmm. And I think in a world where most silly movies aren't taken seriously, I don't get why most people made an exception for it. It is a silly movie, and it's a good movie. It's not a great movie, I don't think, but it's a good movie, and it's a silly movie, and it deserves kudos for that, but I never got the hype behind it. I never got why it's people's favorite film. I never got why critics love it in the same way that fans love it. I don't get these things because I could compare the same aspects in it to most early superhero films that critics were much more divisive on, that were critically panned. Other films and other genres like fantasy, where critics don't take anything seriously, period, ever. And for some reason, it holds up. And I'm glad it made it through its time period. I'm glad it's popular. I don't get the big hype behind it. I don't think it's better than the rest of the films that came out around it in its time. I think it's as good.
What was your age when you saw Ghostbusters?
For the first time? Oh, really little.
Okay. Yeah.
Really little, probably. I think the first time I saw it, I was still scared shitless by Gozer. So,
okay.
I think I actually had a nightmare about the Marshmallow Man, because I lived, this is going to sound like it's far away to people who live in big cities like in our area, but as someone who came from a small town in the South, we lived about 15 to 18 miles away from a Michelin store, and it's one of the first stores I saw on the way to Kmart every weekend when we went shopping, every weekend when we went to church, whatever. And that Michelin Man became a scary figure to me in my early childhood because of the Ghostbusters movie and the giant Marshmallow Man. and I look back on that, it was hilarious now. But like, still don't go to Michelin to this day because of it.
Because for me, I loved the first Ghostbusters movie. I will definitely say that I don't actually think it's an amazing movie. I personally love it strictly because of nostalgia, because I think the characters just have really great chemistry with each other.
Some of them, I think, have amazing chemistry.
Yeah, I don't think
you get a pairing that's aces.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's my reason for liking it. And so for so long, since I could be wrong, but I swear it was 2007 where we had first heard that the entire cast was interested in doing a Ghostbusters 3, since 2007. And then literally 9 years went by before the 2016 Ghostbusters movie finally came out. But basically, it had been like years of hype of them getting people on board to do this movie. And Dan Aykroyd was the one really pushing for it. Bill
I
Murray,
remember, because you would see posters and stuff that people had put around. Like, you would see these posters for Ghostbusters 3. This was like a whole thing that was happening. It was a thing that was coming.
Yeah.
I remember, as someone who, when I watched them, I was so little that I loved Ghostbusters 2. I don't think it's good. I never thought it was good, but I loved it. It's hilarious. It's terrible. I love every bit of it, though. I really wanted Ghostbusters 3 because it would have been the first one to come out in my living memory at the time. Like,
yeah.
I didn't see the first two in theaters. I saw them when they were home release on VHS. I saw them when my dad and mom decided to show them to me. But I was going to see Ghostbusters 3 in theaters. I was going to see it, and it was going to be hilarious.
Yeah. So with all this hype around it, basically the big rumored plot, which I loved because at the time Rocky Balboa had just come out, and the big rumored plot was that, yeah, it was going to be that the actors who play the Ghostbusters were old, and everyone thought that the Ghostbusters were a joke. So the idea of them coming back out of retirement seemed really silly, and that's what the plot of the movie would have been, which is exactly the same plot as Rocky Balboa, so that's what got me so hyped. Then 2000, I want to say it was like 13 or 14 was when it got announced that it was going to be a passing the torch film, kind of like what they were doing with Star Wars. So I was still hyped with that. I'm like, okay, that's fair enough because one, the Ghostbusters is no longer around. So the most they could do, you know, it wouldn't be the same basically. So the most they could do was pass the torch to a younger generation.
The problem is for me that around 2010, I'd given up on ever seeing Ghostbusters. So around 2010, I was still enjoying the old Ghostbusters, but I never actually thought Ghostbusters 3 was going to make out.
Yeah,
I'd
neither
entered
did
a
I
stage
at that
of
point.
pessimism and nihilism in my youth where I never thought it was going to come out, and if it did, it was going to be some studio bullshit because the original crew wasn't around in the same way.
Yeah.
Like you said, someone was dead.
Yeah.
They weren't going to be able to get everyone back necessarily. Everyone was talking about being a passing the torch thing. I was like, I'm not going to be that interested most likely. So
it wasn't going to be the same. But I was still optimistic about it. And then the first teaser hits like it was either late 2015 or early 2016, and you know,
I think it was 2015.
15, yeah. So there was the controversy around it because yes, there were a lot of sexist assholes there out on the internet, but then there was also
woman,
exactly,
the woman Ghostbuster team,
yeah, exactly.
Before they ever had a chance to prove themselves shit or great, they were already being attacked.
Oh yeah,
left,
already,
right, and center. Not just by hardcore fans who were like, well, it's not the original team, so we don't like it. No, not just by people who hated women, but didn't help that we had just come out of a very divisive time politically with a female president on the line.
So after the first teaser came out, this was, I still thought, okay, because they had straight up said, like, in production, that it was still going to be a passing the torch film in production. Yep. First teaser came out, though, and then it said 16 years, or no, way more than 6, sorry, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, there was a team, you know, and that made, that, you know, I'm sorry, but correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's in the trailer saying 30 years ago this happened, wouldn't that heavily imply that in the universe of the movie
canonical, that's no longer a reboot, it's a sequel?
Yeah. And then it wasn't until the second trailer came out where they're like, what are we going to call ourselves? I guess we're the Ghostbusters. That's when people were like confused about it. They're like, wait a minute, so is this not like canon with the original 2 films then? And then after the movie came out, yeah, no, it wasn't. It was its own completely separate universe. But yeah, like, so after all this, 2016 Ghostbusters movie comes out, and reviews aren't very high. They're not low because it wasn't. It wasn't a bad movie. So 2016 Ghostbusters happened, and you know the only disappointment I had from it was that, like, you know, I wasn't mad that this movie was made at all. But the only disappointing thing,
Sony did good, I think.
They could have done. It could have been a better film. It could have been a worse film. But yeah. So moving on to this new one.
Yes, the new Ghostbusters.
The big thing is that after the 2016 film like ended, I left just being like, it was okay. I guess I'm never going to get that Ghostbusters 3. At that point, it was for sure. We're never going to get Ghostbusters 3, but that's okay. You know what?
It was
the Ghostbusters has a legacy that'll always live on, and whether or not it's going to be in a reboot or in a sequel to this film, that's fine, because at least the Ghostbusters
sequel,
I was hoping for more, but even though it's not, there's still the love that people have for Ghostbusters. You look in San Francisco, there's literally a whole Ghostbusters department in San Francisco, LA, New York, probably other cities too. Those are just the only 3. Actually, Seattle too. Yeah, there's 4 that I know of. There's probably more. Like, I think there might be one in Detroit, but I could be wrong. The Ghostbusters will never die just because a movie came out that you weren't a fan of.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah,
hell, if Ghostbusters, all that they ever came out with was every 50 years they made one terrible Ghostbusters movie, the original Ghostbusters
it would still be there. Then we get into this new one coming out, and it's like, holy crap, I didn't see this coming. But then something happened to me that I did not expect. I don't really care that much, and I didn't expect that.
It's funny you say that, because I was never expecting to care about Ghostbusters again from 2010 onwards.
Yeah,
and I didn't care when the female Ghostbusters movie came out. I didn't care that much. I wasn't really looking forward to it that much. Part of why I enjoyed it so much, I think, is I was expecting nothing from it, but it gave me something I enjoyed. Mm-hmm. This Ghostbusters, though, it's like put a wet sock over that, and I can't really tell why, because theoretically I should really want to see a Ghostbusters 3. Theoretically, I should be okay with not having to go through the fudging internet kerfuffle that was the Ghostbusters reboot. But now part of me really wants to go through that kerfuffle again. and I'm not going to get that. And I also am not very hopeful for what this might turn out to be.
The director of it, he's not a bad director, but he mostly is directed in the past, like the kind of dry humor comedies, like Juno, and...
it's the guy who did Juno.
Yeah, he's the son of the guy who did the original Ghostbusters.
He's a solid director, actually. I like him.
So he's a good director. What's interesting, though, is I feel like there might be, once they announce the casting, I feel like there's going to be a whole new, different type of controversy. It's not going to be in the same kind, but the reason is the casting for this, they have announced
half and half.
No, it's going to be half and half. Yeah, half boys, half girls. But
it's all going to be really surprised if it wasn't.
It's going to be young. They're looking for Stranger Things basically age of a cast for this. Age
that young, like 13-year-olds?
Yeah, they're looking at that young for it, and it's gonna basically take
to make
place.
A PG-13 movie.
And then they
are they looking to literally make their own Stranger Things?
I don't know. The director of this movie said it's going to be similar to Stranger Things in some way, so it'll be like a younger cast, and it'll be about them being fans of the original Ghostbusters, essentially. And they said,
we already have that. It's called Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's the thing that I don't know how Ghostbusters fans are going to feel, because the reason,
then it's not going to be based around being a 3.
Yeah,
it's going to be another soft reboot.
Yeah, because
passing the torch.
It's going to be a passing the torch, but it's also not going to be the same kind. Because what I expected when I was thinking passing the torch is I was expecting
Three Musketeers
what they're
style.
doing, or what they're doing with Men in Black currently. Because when you
they have the original cast coming and literally having an entire movie dedicated to transitioning.
Yeah, and you look at what they literally have with in real life, when you have several different Ghostbusters groups, why not have Ghostbusters Incorporated? Wouldn't that have been the best way to reboot the series? Because then you could even acknowledge...
Reboot wasn't a reboot, it was a sequel, just a sideline sequel, just Ghostbusters Inc.
Yeah,
that would have been 3. Yeah, instead it's Ghost 1 again.
Yeah,
but it's not 1; it's an I.
Yeah, Ghost. Oh my God, I didn't think of that.
They could do it, and it's gonna be the Ghost, and then just a dot appears above the 1.
How the fuck did I not think of that? Holy shit!
That's all they need to do, and it would be great marketing. That could have been what they
genius.
Like. That would be some great shit.
I need to fucking high five you for that. Holy shit, that is genius.
Like that would have been some strong stuff.
Oh my God, yes!
Ghostbusters 1 again.